Hello and welcome to a special edition of OpenBxRx, BronxNet's special coverage providing you the latest information that matters to you during COVID-19, the coronavirus. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, and today is Tuesday, May 12th. Coming up, we'll learn about Forme Medical Center and their COVID-19 testing site, available for the uninsured and immigrant community. Then, Red Rabbit Grab and Go Meals provides nutritional emergency meals at hospitals, senior centers, and schools. We'll discuss where later on. After that, Perscolas offers free IT training and they're holding classes remotely now. Are you interested? Wait and find out how you can join. And we'll learn how Bronx Mutual Aid Network has been providing food and services to very vulnerable families and seniors in the Bronx. So please, stay tuned. OpenBxRx starts now. Welcome to OpenBxRx on BronxNet. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, inviting you to get social with us at BronxNet TV on Instagram and Twitter, and BronxNet Community Television on Facebook. Also, if you're watching us on cable, you can continue to stay up to date with our on-screen social media feeds, providing the latest COVID-19 community updates and important headlines. The lack of COVID-19 tests are a cause for concern for many uninsured and immigrant families. Forme Medical Center recently opened a COVID-19 testing site dedicated to providing services regardless of immigration status or insurance. Joining us now to tell us more is Maria Trusca, CEO of Forme Medical Center. Thank you for joining us, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I see you're at Forme right now. Can we just learn a little bit more about the facility?
Yeah, so for the past 5 years, for me, it's been a mission that I took on. I've been in healthcare over 35 years. 26 years I was with the affluent community in Scarsdale. I was the executive director. In 2015, I left to fulfill a mission to focus on providing access to care to the uninsured community, especially the undocumented population. And I joined my partner, Gina Capelli, in 2015, and we created this amazing center for this community. So we've been caring for the uninsured, undocumented population for over 5 years now. And when the situation happened with COVID, we were completely desperate because we were getting 300 phone calls a day. And let me tell you, we couldn't find a place to send our patients to be tested. It was pretty devastating.
And now just leading straight into it, tell us about the COVID-19 testing available for this community, the uninsured and immigrant community, and why it was important for Forme to provide these services to this group.
Well, as I was saying, we were struggling to send them anywhere. We were getting 90% of those 300 calls. They were with COVID-19 symptoms. So out of desperation, I remember being in my office one day and I started to cry. I called my kids and I'm like, I feel like I can do nothing for my patients. And the doctors were calling me and asking me, because we have primary care, we have urgent care, we have gynecology, podiatry, neurology. And our doctors were like, Maria, they come to me. Where do we send these patients? And I started to call the Department of Health. And for number one, I don't know if you know, but the Department of Health did not have a menu in Spanish. I called the Westchester Medical Center, that in Westchester was one of the first testing sites, aside from the one in New Rochelle. And when I called there, again, no menu in Spanish. Number two, they were asking for you to go in a car with an ID. I ended up being tested myself. I went through the process and I said, there's no way that the undocumented population is going to be able to get tested here. So we continue to get roadblocks after roadblocks. And my concern was that because we were not testing them, they were actually not believing that they had the virus. Many of our patients used to say, it's a regular cold. I get this every year. It's not a big deal. And we're like, no, we need to test you. And now, if you add up the fact that they live together, 5, 10 people in a house or an apartment, sharing bathrooms, sharing the kitchen, we started to get more and more calls. So we decided, you know what, we're going to take this in our own hands. We need a walk-through facility. They can't go to any place. There's no place for them to go. Yeah. So we decided, my business partner and I, even though we're not government subsidized, we didn't have the money from the government. We said, you know what, we're going to do it. So we team up with Quest Diagnostic. We opened up a walk-through facility. So we put a tent outside, and that's where we're doing the COVID-19 test. People can come in. We don't turn anybody away. We're charging $25 for collecting the test. But if you can pay it, we don't charge you. Because I have to charge something, because honestly, the amount of support that it takes to be able to manage the patient flow, we have about 5 people just to manage patient flow, registration. We have a call center in Mexico that is handling 600 calls a day. But we said we don't turn anybody away. We have patients that say, I don't have the 25, you come and get tested. We don't care. Because the idea is that we need to test them. And let me tell you that we are getting many positive tests.
Mm. And Maria, if somebody's listening right now and they want to go to one of these centers, where are they located and how can people access them and make appointments?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm still in White Plains, New York, but we're coming to other places soon. That's the goal. But we are at 711 South Broadway in White Plains, New York. We are centrally located. So there is, we have bus, train, everything is near us. And they can just go into our website, fortmaymedicalcenter.com, or again, they can call. Our number is 914-723-4900. We urge people, if they can, but if you're not able to navigate the website, you can call. But we also urge people to go into the website, because they can register right on the website and they can choose Spanish or English.
Right. And Maria, what happens if a person's results come back positive? How will Forme follow up with this patient?
Every patient talks to a provider. They talk to either a nurse practitioner or a PA or an internist. And the idea is not just to get the results, but educate our community and help them understand how critical it is that if you get tested positive, that you protect your family, and we give them instructions. So it is about preventing them from continuing to spread the virus. In addition to that, we're starting to do, at the beginning when we set up last week, we were not doing the checking the oxygen level and the temperature. But as of today, we were able to set up so that everybody gets their oxygen level checked and everybody gets a temperature check, because the oxygen level is something that, we can prevent somebody from ending in a situation where they die. Because if the oxygen level is below 95, then you really need to go and go to the hospital before it gets to the point where it's, they're not going to be able to help you.
Right. Can we also learn a little bit about the virtual medical appointments that are also available by Forme and how people can access this service?
Yes. So we're here. You can schedule an appointment 24/7, because we happen to have a call center that is our receptionist. Basically, they all know how to make the appointment. So 24/7, you can call and make an appointment for virtual visits with the doctors. And for the ones that don't have insurance, again, we charge a minimal amount of $60. But if they can't, I also make sure that everybody gets seen. We also take the insurance, and they call the number, the 914-723-4900. And they could also go online and book the visit. I'm happy to announce that we are preparing to be open on Friday. We're going to do a soft open just to make sure that, because nowadays, these are new days of treating patients. So everybody has to get gloves for when they come here. when at the front desk, before they get in the building, they're going to get gloves. We got to make sure everybody has a mask. We are doing the intake outside from their car, or if they, from their house, and then they come in and they get seen. So it's a whole process to make sure that we are protecting our patients and protecting our staff and the physicians.
Right. And one last thing before you go, Maria, just a message for the community, the undocumented and immigrant community at this time in regards to, what's going on and COVID-19.
My biggest concern right now is, as we are talking about reopening and everybody's getting so anxious to get out, is that, we are going to really hurt ourselves because we are not being careful. And even if you want to get out, and I know that the economy, everybody's hurting and we need to get back into having a little bit of normality, we need to be very, very careful. And the scenes that we're seeing on the TV and on social media of people hanging out, dancing, they're not taking this serious. And let me tell you, we are at the front line and we are seeing the pain. I just got a call today from a Dominican a man that lost his father this week. And he is trying to get his father. They were visiting here, and he is trying to get his father's body back to the Dominican Republic, and he might not be able to do that. And we see all of these young people also dying. I'm seeing friends of mine that are healthy, that are in their 40s, and they're having side effects from the virus where they having a hard time walking. This virus is no joke, and it's showing other symptoms and it's showing other illnesses. So please be careful. Don't think that we're ready to just go back to normality. We're not. And you have parents and grandparents that, if you think the younger population that it doesn't affect you and you're safe, you could be causing the death of a loved one. How do we live with that? So please be very careful, please.
A very important message. Thank you so much, Maria Trusca, CEO of Forme Medical Center, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here.
We will, of course, have this interview in Spanish as well on Diálogo Abierto. We are trying to connect the producers with you in order to get this message out to our viewers in español también.
Lo aprecio mucho. Lo necesitamos.
Claro. Please visit formemedicalcenter.com for more information and to access COVID-19 tests for those who are uninsured and immigrants as well. OpenBxRx will be right back.
New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announced a new grading policy for city schools in response to COVID-19. The goal of this policy is to keep students engaged in remote learning while upholding course requirements.
We want to make sure the grading policy we use now fits the moment we're in now and the reality of our kids, our parents, our educators now.
The new system aims to reach students falling below set standards by giving them extra support to get back on track and providing the flexibility students and their families need amid the crisis. Carlos Lopez, an elementary school teacher in the Mott Haven neighborhood of the Bronx, offered his thoughts on the new system.
I feel that it's fair because children as well as parents and teachers, we are all struggling in terms of trying to master and trying to perfect remote learning.
For grades kindergarten to 5th grade, there will be 2 standards: meets the standards or needs improvement. Grades 6 through 8 will be graded on 3 standards: meets standards, needs improvement, or course in progress. High school will continue to use the same existing grading scales. Despite the new grading system, students like Ariella and Asher Tran are still finding it hard to adjust to the remote learning process.
My name is Ariella Grace Tran and I'm in 3rd grade. My name is Asher Timothy Tran, and I am in 1st grade.
Surrounded by their school books and computers in a 2-bedroom apartment, the siblings have not been outside in weeks, but have actively participated in their school's remote learning classes. They were disappointed to hear that the school would not reconvene for the rest of the school year.
Were you guys upset when you found out you couldn't go back to school for the rest of the year?
I was very upset because I like learning from personal better than computer. Yeah, because it's more understanding. Sometimes I don't know how to spell words and I don't know how to do things right.
So what do you do when that happens?
I asked my dad what to do.
From understanding schoolwork to finding a good time to work on homework together, students and parents continue to try and navigate the challenges of remote learning. However, unlike Ariella and Asher, some students do not have their parents with them throughout the day to help them with their work.
Lots of my students, their parents are essential workers. So when they get home from work, I'd say 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, I receive a ping on my cell phone or on my computer that they have logged on, that they have signed on, and they start to do that work.
Students who require more time to show mastery will receive a course in progress and can enroll in summer fall support programs. Lopez believes the simpler grading system will help students throughout the city finish their schooling during the health crisis.
To say that kids are satisfactory or that they are meeting the standards, that is a fair grade to give all students because they are still trying to master this.
Reporting for BronxNet, Jericho Tran.
Welcome back to OpenBxRx. Since 2005, Red Rabbit has provided children with nutritious meals made from scratch. And for the past few weeks, they've answered the call for the urgent need to continue bringing meals to people in need. Joining us now to discuss is Rhys Powell, the founder of Red Rabbit. Thank you for joining us today, Rhys.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first thing we want to start off with is just learning a little bit about the mission statement behind Red Rabbit.
Sure. We're a mission-driven company that provides fresh, nutritious, made-from-scratch meals to kids around New York City. During the school year, typically we work with a few hundred schools and tens of thousands of kids. All of our meals are made from scratch in our kitchen here in Harlem, and we like to say those meals are made with dignity, using whole, fresh ingredients.
And how has Red Rabbit mobilized and operated during COVID-19?
Yeah, it's been quite a ride, as it has for all of us. When the crisis first hit, immediately overnight, we shifted our operation. And typically we provide meals for kids in underserved communities, but the need was so great that we pivoted to providing meals for adults and anyone else really that needed them. We work with a handful of partners and nonprofits now. Some of the schools that we work with, Boys Prep in the South Bronx, Girls Prep, Global Charter School up in East Harlem, providing meals for tens of thousands of people in need.
Rhys, can we talk a little bit about the type of meals that Red Rabbit prepares and serves and where people can go to receive these meals?
So our mission really is to provide fresh, made from scratch meals using whole ingredients. And so we've really doubled down on that mission. We believe even in a crisis, folks deserve meals with dignity. So all of our meals are cooked at the facility here in Harlem. I think today we were making a lovely jerk chicken with Caribbean rice and coleslaw dish. Being from the Caribbean myself, that dish has a special place in my heart. But, our chefs and our cooks really take pride in the food that they make. And in this moment where some people for the first time are having to ask for meals, we really want to make sure that everyone can still have pride and can still have dignity and eat a really good, fresh, made from scratch meal.
That is amazing to hear. Thank you to you and Red Rabbit for providing these nutritious meals during these vulnerable times.
You also asked where folks can find the meal.
Yes.
We have a few routes where we drop off meals in the Bronx and in Harlem and also out in Coney Island and Brooklyn. Folks can go to our website or our Instagram at MyRedRabbit, and we post the routes there every day.
And I also understand that Red Rabbit is seeking help, that you're hiring. Can you tell us about these positions and how people can apply?
Yeah, definitely. You can apply by going to our website, myredrabbit.com/careers. We're really looking for chefs and cooks and kitchen employees. So folks who are comfortable working in the kitchen, please go on there and apply if you want to help or be a part of the relief effort. And then also it's a really good company to work for. So hopefully we'll get through this crisis soon and we'll be back to normal and you can be a part of the team cooking meals for kids around New York City.
Right. Rhys, I also bumped into a wonderful blog post on the Red Rabbit page. Can you just tell us about how Red Rabbit is ensuring the health and safety of their employees during this time?
Wow, it's been really a moving time. I think from the beginning of the crisis, our team has really inspired me by how diligent they've been in protecting our team and making sure this is a safe environment. In addition to practicing social distancing, we have provided our team with masks and PPE from the beginning. We are providing transportation services for our team members. We may not feel comfortable taking public transportation. And we are disinfecting our facility twice per day. And we've also brought in an outside company to disinfect it every night. Really, the team is focused on making this a safe space. I think before we even focused on producing meals, we first had to make it a safe place to work. And that has been kept up and consistent throughout the crisis.
Right. And just one final thing about other opportunities for collaboration, partnerships, and all of that. How can people get in touch and get involved?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the best way to get in touch is just to go to our website. There's a contact page on there, myredrabbit.com, and just reach out. Someone will usually get back to you within an hour. Of course, the best way to get involved is if you're a school or you would like really good, healthy, made from scratch meals for your kids, reach out to us. School will open again, and we'd like to be there to serve you and serve the families. But during the crisis, if you'd like to help, join our team, please go to our careers page and come and join the team and help us make meals for families in need. And if you are a nonprofit and you need meals for distribution, you have a community that is in need, give us a call. We still do have capacity to make more meals, and we would be happy to work with you.
Right. One more thing, Rhys, before we go. This wasn't in the original itinerary for our questions, but I wanted to ask you just about the importance of providing help, using your organization, your company, and other companies like yours to just, get in the forefront of this COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've been proud of during the crisis is the reaction that small businesses have had. I'm part of a few small business networks, and everyone has stepped up and said that in whatever capacity they would like to help. I think the small business community in New York has really been on the forefront of this, and I think they've taken a lot of steps to try to mitigate the damage. I mean, we're all going through it, both personally and as a community, and that's something that I've been proud of. It's a network that I've been proud to be a part of.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rhys Powell, the founder of Red Rabbit, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Folks, to find out more about Red Rabbit, please visit myredrabbit.com and follow them on Instagram at myredrabbit. OpenBxRx will be right back.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
Al tomar transporte público, no toques su teléfono. Lleve desinfectante para sus manos y úselo inmediatamente al salir del autobús o tren. No te toques la cara. Si alguien tose o estornuda, aléjase. Lávese las manos con agua y jabón lo antes posible. Limite el contacto con los postes. Si es posible, evite las horas pico. No comas ni bebas en transporte público. Mantenga su bolsa del piso o otras superficies. Evite tocar directamente los torniquetes. Manténgase al día con lo último de su Departamento de Salud local y el CDC.
Welcome back to OpenBxRx. Due to COVID-19, many individuals have transitioned to remote work using technology. And for 25 years, Bronx-based nonprofit Perscolas has been helping low-wage workers to access IT careers by providing tuition-free IT skills and training. And they're now offering this training remotely. Joining us now to tell us more is Abe Mendez, Managing Director at Perscolas. Hi, Abe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
The first thing, of course, that I want to get straight into is just learning a little bit about Perscolas for those who don't know about Perscolas.
Yeah, absolutely. So Perscolas is a national nonprofit organization that's proudly headquartered in the South Bronx. What we do is we provide tuition-free technology training to folks from underserved and overlooked communities, and we partner with employers to help place the students that we graduate from our training programs into full-time jobs.
Can we discuss how the transition has been for Perscolas to go from interpersonal training and courses to now remote work with their students and teachers?
Yeah, so it's been a wild ride for sure. The past few weeks have been a blur. So we successfully transitioned over 200 students who are currently taking training either in our Bronx or Brooklyn sites remotely. And so 200 students in 11 classes, as you could imagine, that was no small feat. And I'm lucky to have an amazing team behind me that worked, day in and day out to understand sort of what the needs of our students were, whether students needed a laptop at home to be able to access our training, whether they needed a webcam or a headset, or in some cases access to internet. We were able to mobilize pretty quickly to provide that. And we were able to retain over 90% of the students that we had in training and successfully transition them to remote. And a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated a milestone, our first ever virtual graduation, where we had over 70 students graduate from our network support and software engineering classes, and who are now able to hit the ground running and search for jobs.
Wow, congratulations to those students who graduated even through this pandemic and through all the uncertainty that we're facing. And thank you to Perscolas for, providing those certificates even throughout this. I wanted to ask about some of the remote courses, Abe. What are some of the ones that are available now at Perscolas that people can register for?
Yeah, so absolutely. We're really proud to be able to offer remote courses, between now and the foreseeable future. So courses that students can sign up for in New York specifically are our network support course, which trains individuals to become, help desk support, technology support analysts at companies. Our cybersecurity training, which is 17 weeks and trains individuals to become cybersecurity analysts, security operations center analyst, as well as our software engineering course, which is an entry-level Java developer course, which is 15 weeks and teaches you all about coding and web development.
Right. IT positions have always been needed in our society, but now more than ever, while people are remote working, they need this IT support. So would you just talk about highlighting the importance of tech careers, especially in low-income communities?
Yeah, so we've always seen careers in technology to be ones in which anyone could really break into with the right training and certifications. So we're really proud to have a model that meets the real-time needs of our employer partners. And so we're consistently getting feedback from employers, and we are constantly innovating and adjusting our training. And as you mentioned, Sonyi, the fact is the world of work has gone remote, right? And so we're seeing that there will be a huge need for tech talent across New York City for the foreseeable future in the years to come. So we encourage anyone interested in pursuing a career in technology to go to perscolas.org/apply, learn more about our trainings, and sign up, because we definitely anticipate that there will be a demand for tech skills. And we've already placed over 30 of our graduates into jobs over the past few weeks. And so things aren't slowing down for us. We're still working really hard to meet the needs of our employers. And our employers are looking for very strong and diverse tech talent.
Right. And Abe, just to circle back to the graduates, can you tell us about the certifications that they received and what their certifications will help them accomplish in the future?
Yeah, so all of our courses either include industry recognized credentials or projects that students have worked on that they can demonstrate to employers directly, right? So Our network support course includes a CompTIA A+ and Net Plus credential. Our cybersecurity course includes a CompTIA Net Plus and a Cisco CCNA CyberOps credential. And our software engineering course, throughout, you're working on different projects. In some cases, you're developing websites, developing even games or apps that you can demonstrate, to employers. And for all three courses and for everything that we do at Perscolas, we recognize, that we're training folks for a short amount of time, but these credentials are recognized by the industry. And our students are able to demonstrate that within 15 to 19 weeks, depending on the course, you're able to obtain the knowledge and pass these credentials. And that just puts you one step further into launching your career in technology.
Right. So just to reinstate that, so the courses are free, just to establish that for our viewers. They're about 15 weeks long. And what do people need? What are the other requirements in order to register for these courses?
Yeah, so we're looking for folks who are 18 and up, who have a high school diploma or an equivalency. We have an exam that we administer, an interview process, and our unwritten rules, we're looking for folks who have a passion for technology. So expect some questions around that, but we encourage anyone who's interested to again, go to our website to learn more.
Any final points from you, Abe, at this time before we wrap up?
No, thank you so much for having me. Perscolas is really proud to be working in the community, whether it's physically at our sites or virtually, and we're looking forward to sort of taking in and developing and cultivating the next generation of tech talent. So please feel free to reach out to us. We want to have you and we want to support you.
Thank you so much for your time today, Abe. Take care. Be well.
Thank you. You too.
Folks, if you would like to inquire more about the IT and tech training offered free at Perscolas, visit perscolas.org for more information. OpenBxRx will be right back.
Due to COVID-19, the NYPD has assigned hundreds of officers to enforce social distancing rules, responding to calls of overcrowding at stores, parks, and other gathering spaces. Mayor Bill de Blasio recently tweeted about Hasidic residents defying social distancing measures in Brooklyn after hundreds of mourners gathered for the funeral of a rabbi who died of coronavirus. NYPD can be seen standing by and using sirens to disperse the crowd. However, the consequences of people of color defying social distancing show a stark contrast in handling by the NYPD. This video surfaced of a young boy getting handcuffed and taken away for selling chips and candies on a train in the Bronx. And this video shows the arrest of 24-year-old Curtis Miller in Brooklyn.
Why y'all stopping? Why y'all stopping for? What are y'all stopping for? Look,
I'm telling you, back
illegal.
up. Back up.
Illegal. Don't touch me.
Back up.
Miller cites his arrest was unwarranted.
When you watch the video, you can see I was never outside. I was actually about to go home. Less than 5 seconds of being back in our community, I'm being harassed. I just don't feel like there's nothing I could do. Like I said, I don't surround myself around negativity. It wasn't no weed in the car. It wasn't no alcohol. It wasn't nothing. I wasn't even talking to them outside. So when they hopped in the car and came back to the truck, I was confused because I just heard you tell my friend you could get in the car, go in the house, just be in front of the building, but now you pulling us over for what?
According to Miller, he and his friends were double parked on a Brooklyn street when the NYPD approached their vehicle on a traffic stop. Miller's friend, who was in the driver's seat, handed the officers his ID. When Miller, seated in the passenger seat, declined to hand ID, the arrest ensued.
I opened the door, but I didn't forcefully open the door. I just touched the handle, and I was opening the door as in I was about to get out the car. So he closed the door. So then that's when I started recording on my phone. And as soon as I brought my phone up, he slashed my phone and then just starts punching me.
Footage captured by one of Miller's friends show an officer taunting the men for not social distancing and threatening them with $500 fines.
$500 fine. Social distance. $500 fine. So you need to move it.
6 feet.
Yes. So y'all need to move.
The video then shows the police calling for backup, leading to the assault of Miller and his friends.
Grab him. Come here. Get down. Get down. Get down, mother.
The situation was already bad when the two officers was on the scene. They couldn't handle the situation, or they, made the situation harder than what it be. But when they call backup, it's just even worse because you would think they come in to assist the issue and both favor, but they just come in to take one favor, and then you just left out for a lawyer to figure out what's really up to you. So this is messed up.
Miller is an essential unionized worker and says he's never been arrested before. Following his arrest, he was released without explanation. Miller states that he was not defying the social distancing mandates and is currently working with a lawyer in hopes to pursue legal action after experiencing injuries due to the arrest.
I went to urgent care, they did x-rays, I had a contusion to my ribs, contusion to my shoulder, contusion to my thigh. I already have a lawyer. I have a case right now. You turned a parking violation into a traffic stop, into an arrest. How?
Reporting for BronxNet, Sonyi Lopez.
Claps and cheers aren't the only sounds filling the city's streets to show solidarity. Now, a concert is coming right to your front door. Concerts from Cars is a safe way to bring New Yorkers live music while practicing social distancing. Founder Olga Markova says the inspiration behind Concerts from Cars came from her love for live music, which she considers a form of healing.
For me, I just wanted to hear live music because I was stressed out because of pandemic, obviously, and live music is healing, so I really wanted to hear live music, and I figured out the safe way to make it happen.
The concert consists of a 6-piece band which travels neighborhood to neighborhood to hold live performances. Band member Dan Kurthis says he lost a majority of his income because of the stay-at-home mandates, but refuses to lose his passion.
Not playing music with people, it's really hard on a lot of levels, personally, financially, spiritually. And it's the center of our family's life is really kind of centered around music. So yeah, we had to find a way to keep it going somehow.
The band has played at special social distancing birthday celebrations and recently an engagement announcement. You can book Concerts from Cars through their Instagram. The proceeds are used to support other musicians who are out of work at this time. Reporting from BronxNet, Darissa White.
Welcome back to OpenBxRx. Vulnerable families in the Bronx and seniors need help now more than ever, and volunteers from the community have banded together in order to provide food, supplies, and more through something called mutual aid. Joining us now to discuss is the founder of Bronx Mutual Aid Network, Thahitun Mariam. Thank you for joining us, Thahitun.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be joining you today.
So one of the first things I wanted to start with is, of course, defining what mutual aid is for anyone who's not familiar with what that is.
Right. I think mutual aid is a term that might be new to some people. So mutual aid is a lot about coming together in solidarity and forming community to provide aid to the people that need it the most. So a lot of the time we've seen mutual aid groups develop after different forms of catastrophe, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be some sort of other natural disaster. And in this current moment, mutual aid in the context of New York City is in relation to the current coronavirus pandemic, and really making sure that we as a community are coming together and providing food, resources, as well as the concerns that our neighbors have closest to us, as well as our families and our friends around the needs that they have that needs to be met.
Right. And now, as mentioned earlier, you founded the Bronx Mutual Aid Network. How was it started and why? And how is it run in terms of the people that are involved in this initiative?
Sure. So the Bronx Mutual Aid Network is only about a month old, and it was formed as a response to the current pandemic. So I'm a long time New Yorker, and I've lived in the Bronx since the mid 90s. And I think right now, I don't think any of us have seen what or even experienced or imagined that we would be living through this period that we're living through right now. And the Bronx Mutual Aid Network was formed as a response to the need and the necessities of Bronxites who are here living through this pandemic and need certain items delivered to them, whether it be essential grocery items, or whether it be some other needs. Like we have some folks that have young babies, and families with these sort of needs that need to be met, like Pampers and whatnot. So it's a lot about like forming community through caring for one another. And it formed honestly as a result of me already doing this work in my own community with the Bangladeshi community in the Bronx, and realizing that there's so many resources out there and I'm sharing these resources with people, but how do we actually collectivize all these resources and get it out to, you know, all of the Bronx and all the people that are currently at home quarantined and you know, need the basics met, like food.
Right. And now we know that the Bronx Mutual Aid is for all, but I wanted to discuss what you just mentioned, your particular community, the Bangladeshi community in the Bronx. What are their needs during this time? And as an activist and organizer, what are you seeing as some of the main issues in the community?
Sure, yeah. You know, I live in the heart of the Bangladeshi community in the Bronx, in the East Bronx, and um, a lot of the needs honestly comes from food, shelter, as well as employment, right? So most people in my community are on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, are very hardworking people, and many people have lost their jobs. A lot of folks that work in food service jobs, a lot of folks that work in the restaurant industry, as well as, you know, other sort of jobs, whether it's the MTA, whether it's as taxi drivers and Uber drivers and whatnot. And a lot of these folks are currently unable to work. And so there's a dire need for people to understand how to apply for unemployment benefits, how to receive rental assistance. I know that right now we don't have any legislation that has been enacted to cancel rent or to really provide a long-term solution for rent. This is something everyone is worried about. And the third really essential item is around food insecurity. A lot of people in my community that aren't working, that aren't eligible for government programs like SNAP, you know, are going through a lot of struggles with food insecurity. And so part of it being that it is the month of Ramadan, a lot of people are fasting, a lot of Muslims in the Bangladeshi community that aren't able to go out, aren't able to actually have even a little bit of food for breaking their fast, you know, that's really heartbreaking. And so for me, a lot of the work that we've been doing through the Bronx Mutual Aid Network is providing for these families as well.
Right. And a lot of your focus is also on making sure that this is culturally relevant food as well. Like, it's not just random, you know, food items that may not be subjective for one family as opposed to another. Can you just talk to me about that and your opinion on the way that perhaps the city is engaging in this type of food distribution?
Right, right. So I think that you know, especially when I think often sometimes like people think that those who are in need will take anything, and the handout could be whatever you want to give them. But I think there's no dignity in that. And I think for us at the Bronx Mutual Aid Network, as well as other mutual aid networks that I've been in conversation with, it's very important to provide like actual groceries, right? Versus like, I think there's obviously prepared meals are great, but I think prepared meals are temporary because it only is for that day or the next day, but then it won't be for the following week or the week after. So I think for us, it's about providing culturally competent food. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, a lot of the food that people need are the basics, right? It's rice, pasta, cooking oil, eggs, milk, potatoes, tomatoes, onions, you know, and tortillas are some form of bread that everyone eats, right? So we've been really conscious of the fact that the Bronx is a diverse borough. The Bronx has so many communities of color who have been really, really, you know, devastated by the pandemic, and coronavirus has disproportionately affected a lot of working class communities in the Bronx. So we're really making sure that through our aid work and through the grocery deliveries that we're doing, that we're serving people in a way that preserves dignity and preserves their humanity, and really make sure that people are getting nutritious food and not just anything being sent to them.
Right. I think that's so important. When you knock on these doors and you deliver these food items, how are people reacting to the help?
You know, people are very, I've been so emotional because people are very welcoming. I think it's the nature of the coronavirus doesn't allow us to hug, doesn't allow us to embrace, doesn't allow us to really show up for one another in the normal ways that we do and when we're thinking about community. But I think through a small act of going to give food to your neighbors, whether it be in the East, West, or South Bronx, and showing up at those doors, everyone has been so glad. You know, we've been delivering to a lot of like elderly people, seniors, and you know, some of the stories is just heartbreaking because it's folks that have been quarantined by themselves. We went to one senior home, and this woman has been quarantined by herself, and she was just in this dark apartment by herself, and she was very glad. She was just like, "I'm so happy to see you because I haven't seen people in so long. I'm afraid to go outside." So it's stories like that we're hearing. We delivered food to a elderly man in the West Bronx who just lost his wife about a week and a half ago. And so when we go and we do these deliveries, it's very emotional to connect with people because we know that those who are requesting help, those that need help, are actually in a lot of pain right now. And I feel that, you know, obviously this is a functionality of survival, of like having the food that we need and the nutrition that we need, and I think the city government should be stepping up to fulfill this need. But I have not been completely satisfied with what they are providing. I think it can be a much better job done.
Right. And I think you mentioned to me about the senior that you helped that just lost his wife. He also had some complaints about some of the assistance that he has received, or like lack thereof. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, the frustration with the communities that we're serving are people that don't have any other option, right? That they cannot go outside to buy groceries for themselves. So it's mostly people that are actually very, very vulnerable right now. It's people that are immunocompromised. It's elderly folks like himself. It's pregnant women that are stuck at home. It's families that have very young children that they cannot just leave at home to go get groceries or wait on a food pantry line. So we have been really cognizant of that, and we have been talking to a lot of people, and the frustration comes from folks who are like, I'm an elderly person and waiting in line for 2 hours for some groceries that I have to lug back home is not really a reality for me. So I think that's why really making sure that we're getting the food that people need to their doorsteps, to their homes, is what has been most impactful and honestly helpful for a lot of people from the feedback that we're getting.
And first and foremost, of course, we're going to get to the donations and how people can get involved and volunteer. But I want to help out people that are viewing right now. How can people reach out for help, Thahitun, and get aid from the Mutual Aid Network at this time?
Right. We actually have a request for support form. We initially formed on via a Facebook group. It's called the Bronx Mutual Aid Network for COVID-19. If you search that, you'll find us. And in this group, we have the form. It's a Google form, pretty simple, easy to access. And once someone fills out this form, we can get the help to them. Right now, a lot of the requests we're getting are through people that are in this group, or through caseworkers who found this form and are filling it out for a lot of people. So it's right now it is through this online form that we have.
Gotcha. Thank you. And of course, the call to action. You need plenty of help. It's all volunteer run, like you said, and this is something that was a community-based effort. How can people get involved, help, volunteer, donate? What are some of what is some of the assistance that you need right now?
Sure. So you're right, absolutely, that it is community driven. It is absolutely 100% volunteer run. We are relying on funding that comes from a crowdfunding site. So we have set up like a website where collecting funds for the Bronx Mutual Aid Network. So if people can donate, we'll really appreciate it. Your dollars will go directly towards buying groceries for these families in need. We're also accepting volunteers, mostly that can help us with packaging groceries or making calls, or also those that have cars and can actually help us to do deliveries on the ground to these families that we're delivering groceries to.
Right. And I'll give that website right now. It's chuff.org/project/mutual aid. You can get that right on the bottom of the screen right here, and we're also mentioning at the end. Anything else you want to close out with, Thahitun? A message to the community, to the Bangladeshi community, also a message to the volunteers that have been helping you this whole time.
Yeah, I am so thankful. I am so thankful for our Bronx community that has stepped forward through this Bronx Mutual Aid Network. I'm meeting so many inspiring people, and I want to thank all the volunteers who've been working hard. I want to thank all those who have donated to us. It is through you that we're able to do this work. And I also want to say that this is a moment where we all need to come together, where we need to check in with each other. Mutual aid network and mutual aid generally, what started this conversation means checking in with those who are around you. So if you live in a building where there are elderly people, check in on them, see what's going on, see that if they need any help. And right now, I think the way that our work is going to impact the long-term impact within New York City is going to be really powerful, because we as a community in the Bronx, all across the Bronx, are coming together to really care for each other, and that's revolutionary.
Solidarity to you, and thank you for everything you're doing for the community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And of course, if you would like to help or donate, contribute to Bronx Mutual Aid Fund, whether it be as a volunteer or a donor, you can follow them at BX Mutual Aid Network on Instagram, and visit, again, the website chuff.org/project/mutual aid to see how you can help. And if you also need help, you can click one of the links on the website as well. That's all for our show today. Thank you for tuning in to OpenBxRx. I'm your host, Sonyi Lopez, wishing you and your family safety and wellness now and always. Until next time.